Gamescom hasn't been done for a couple of years since COVID. And this was the first time we kind of went and met all our friends and tried to make new connections at the recently opened event. It was great meeting everybody, and it was even more exciting to kind of explore the show floor for the first time in 2 years. And we've seen a lot of returning pavilions. Like, there were a lot of spaces where you could find, companies from a particular area in Europe, like, Spain, or area in Asia, like Malaysia, and some other spaces. There were a lot of publishers as well. There were not that many big publishers out there, but it was still interesting to see a lot of local European houses kind of providing and showing the games that they're building. We haven't seen that many tools and tool developers at Gamescom. Seems like this is not the kind of event that developers of new technology for game production usually like to attend. And a lot of them actually, they do attend, but they don't have booths there. But there was one company that we were very fortunate to have a little time with and talk about the future of video game production and the future of animation in particular. This company is Plask, and I'm very happy to present our interview with the CEO of this amazing new startup.
Greetings, and welcome to the 80 Level Roundtable podcast. In each episode, host Kirill Tokarev invites video game industry leaders to talk about the world of game development. No topic is off limits as long as it relates to video game development. New episodes are in the works, so remember to follow us or subscribe and share with someone you know will also enjoy the podcast.
So, before we kind of start, we ask this question a lot to our the people that we're just talking with. Do you actually play games?
Oh, that's very important question. So, yes, but I'm quite maniac, I would say, because I'm not quite sure you know that, but in Korea, most of people play either StarCraft or League of Legends. So I'm not kind of the mainstream gamer in Korean society, but I like to play the Civilization or
Oh, really?
Yeah, those kind of some boring games. I like those kind of games.
This is weird, but a lot of people who are doing business in tech, they're really into Civilization.
Oh, I think that's not a coincidence.
Yeah, that's not a coincidence. I think Mark Zuckerberg is into Civilization. The boss of our company is also a big fan of Civilization. Yeah, and it seems like everyone who's like to manage and figure those things out,
even playing game, we like to manage.
But kind of what brought you to Gamescom this year? What are you showcasing at this show?
Yeah, I can say that I'm a gamer, but the reason coming to Gamescom is not kind of for really to enjoy the game industry, but it's more like the business purpose, because Plask have been on a great infrastructure for game companies and productions, and we know that we can make the productivity of the game industry really, really improve by our service. So we think it's a great opportunity to introduce our tool to the industry and show what we are doing right now. Yeah, that's, I think, the main purpose.
So tell us a little bit about your product. What does Plask do? What kind of products do you provide? A little bit about that direction.
Plask is an AI motion capture software. We provide, motion capture needs a lot of sensors, suits, studios, especially money and time. And Plask don't need any of those. So it only uses a video in order to get a 3D motion data. So what you have to do is just prepare a video. It can be video taken from your phone or downloaded from YouTube. It all works. So you just can drag and drop the video into our tool. Our tool is a browser-based tool and no need for installations. So you just can drag and drop video onto the tool and you get the 3D motion data. So this makes the whole production much, much easier because, animation was the most bottleneck of the production. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, but just by dragging and drop and video and getting a motion data is a really big thing, especially for like the 3D games. I mean, the MMORPG or like big scale games, they can save a lot of time and money by using Plask for making their animation process much more efficient.
So how does it work? Usually when you think about motion capture, like you said, you need to have a suit, there has to be cameras around,
Right.
there has to be trackers that are on you, and this allows for a very accurate representation of motion.
Yeah.
Especially when you think about facial animations or some very complex motions when you're
Right.
involving fingers or some other elements. Those are super important. How does your technology work? Like, what's the secret there? How does it know how to track the motion from the image, which is basically flat, as far as I understand in the
Exactly.
from the video?
So the previous method, the motion capture, uses a optical or like electromagnetic sensors in order to get the exact position of each joints. So you would probably see that they put markers on their suits. So they are using the cameras or the sensor setup in order to get the position of that marker and making it to recover into the motion data. That's how they used to do. So they are basically using the tracking sensor. That's the main difference. We are using the AI or like computer vision technology to get motion reconstructed from video. So it's like a human eye or human brain or like human intelligence, because when we see a video, we are not 100% sure about the depth data or like 100% sure about each of the position of each joint, but we somehow know the approximated position of each data. While you can see that someone come closer to camera or like going far from camera, it all can be reconstructed in human brain. So that's what AI do. AI was trained by 3D motion data. So they were trained to estimate the 3D joints of each joint of the person in the video by looking at huge data set. That's how our AI reconstruct the 3D motion data from video, and it allows it to, by not getting a 3D depth data or like sensor data, it somehow can get the reconstructed 3D positions.
So when you think about this technology, how accurate is the traction of movement? How accurate can you go?
So we should talk about the present state and how it can go beyond. So for now, we can say that our mocap quality is like low budget motion suits. So compared to like high-end motion capture studios, yes, our motion data is a little bit noisy, and like many users are giving feedback that the feeds are like quite slidey. Those are still, those have problems, but the fun part is that last year, the AI quality was like too awful that it isn't like serviceable. And 2 years ago, no one think about to make it into service because, it was that terrible. And, the growth of the AI technology is really fast. And we estimate that most of current users' feedback, I mean, the feed sliding and some of the noise problems will be solved within 4 and 5 months. And after 1 year later, I think we can approach to the quality of middle class motion capture suits, and like 2 or 3 years later, we can go like similar level with the high quality motion capture studios. So that's the thing, I guess. The future of the motion capture should be and must be the AI motion capture, because the performance will finally converge into the high quality market, and but the accessibility or the efficiency the AI mocap gives to the production is uncomparable. So that's what we are estimating about the performance.
So let's talk a little bit about how it works. So as far as I understand, you're a web-based tool and
Right.
you upload some kind of video there. then the AI does its magic and it looks at the human positions. And what happens next? Does your AI also create a rig for the character? Can you then kind of export this rig to any character that you have in the game and the animation as well, right?
So yeah, so when you drag and drop the video tool, you get the rotation data of 23 joints, which is exactly the same with the Mixama rig. And what we are doing is we support an automatic retargeting feature. So users just can drag and drop their custom 3D model to, of course, it should be rig, their rig character to our tool, and users just can retarget the AI extracted motion to, they can apply that to their custom 3D character. So no, we are not creating a rig for a 3D custom character, but the AI extracting motion can be applied to any of your humanoid characters. So we can say that we have some kind of comparability. So, and after you apply the motion to the character, you can export it to FBX, GLB, BVH, so you can bring it to other tools like Unity, Blender, any other tools you like.
Right, so you need a rigged character to kind of utilize the motion that the Plask extracts from the video, and after that you can use it as much as possible, whatever you can.
Right.
What about the editing part? So if I want to create, like in, let's take it for example, like modern action games or any kind of games right now. If you've seen like Last of Us Part 2, they did like a billion different animations for every kind of movement that the character can do, and that's why the character can open a door 6 different ways, right? And it's like every time you watch it, it's like a different motion. It requires a lot of motion capture, but it also requires a lot of editing because you need to cut this motion and then that motion and so on. So basically, with your data, when it's exported, can you just export it to Maya, I guess, and play around there and cut it into like whatever pieces you want?
That's a really good point because actually our internal goal or like internal target is like two-way. The first one is to automating the animation industry with AI. That's the one big part. And the next big part is collaboration. So we are adding more and more editing features to the tool. And we choose a browser to be the platform of our tool. There are a lot of reasons. So as you just told, so animating is kind of like the work of art. You know, it is not just a technical job. So there should be a lot of editing jobs after, even if they capture a motion from a fancy motion capture studio, they have to edit the motion to make it into the form of art. So editing is like one of the essential part when it comes to game animations. And but what people are doing right now is quite an old way. It's like the way just like 30 years ago. And we think there should be about two innovations should be brought to the industry. The first one is about the collaboration. So, Figma is a great example to the UI UX area. They bring a real-time collaboration to the UI UX design, and they make the whole stage to the browser, and it makes a lot of people to access the project and giving a feedback, working simultaneously, and making something into I am actually an AI developer before I start a company, and we developers have some very good culture. I would say it's there's a GitHub there, and there's an open source thing, and there's a collaboration between total strangers. Those kind of things should be brought to the game design animation as well, I guess. So that's why we are adding more and more editing feature to our browser-based tool and making it into a real-time collaboration arena. Yeah, I think those are one of our great targets, and those kind of editing features. That's why we are adding more and more editing feature to our tool. Yeah.
So I like this analogy with Figma because I use Figma a lot, although I'm not a a designer, but I do use it to kind of review different forms. And it seems right that kind of like Figma grew from just like a UI building tool to like more like a Photoshop kind of tool, or like Photoshop plus Corel Draw, because it's like vector stuff and raster stuff and all of it combined.
Exactly.
And it is very approachable, so you can download it and start playing around in the browser basically without having to use any other stuff that you do with other comparable tools.
Like especially the 3D animation thing, the assets are too heavy, and the tool itself, the Maya, the 3D Max, when you misclick the tool, and it takes years to open up. And I think those make the review and feedback process really slow. And I think when it comes to browser, it's really, really fast, accessible thing. So I think it would be great if you can bring it to the industry.
When I think about Maya in particular, the rigs themselves, they can get pretty complex. Right? And when we think about motion in general, it is, like you said, a very complicated thing. And that's why we also run like a little bit of a recruiting service. And we see a lot of demand for guys like technical animators or animators in general, because like you said, it's like you're sparkling life into a character, suddenly giving motion and making sure that it moves. I feel like what you're saying about AI could bring out like the next level to animation in general, on the fluidity of motion, the versatility of motion. Because right now everything is basically done by hand. I mean, of course, mocap helped a lot. Definitely took a lot of pressure from animators, but it's still a lot of things that you need to do for yourself or in teams, and a lot of cleaning, like you said, a lot of adapting the material and so on. When we have AI, a lot of those tasks are being done by the machine. And my question is, what else do you feel in animation can we outsource to computers so we don't have to think about it? Like, I think there is another piece of software called Cascadeur or something. Yeah, they're doing a lot of that. Like in that, it's basically like a keyframe approach, but AI kind of adds up and helps smooth it out, or suggest motion, or help figure out when the impact is happening, what's going on with the motion and the physics and all that stuff. Where do you think it's going to go from here? How is Plask kind of going to push this AI into the animation industry?
Of course, animation itself have a lot of things can be automated by AI, because I think at the end of this world, maybe we can have some kind of animation features, like just like by using the natural language. Maybe you can make a whole animation. So you are just like being a director. So like just move in this way more, or like just do it more with a passion. This can be done with AI, because, similar things are done by the DALL-E 2 recently. The natural language can produce a whole artworks. And this can be applied to animations as well. So those things, so animation itself can be really, really easy by using those kind of things. But not only for animation. So Mixamo did a great job with automatic rigging done by the AI. But, rigging itself is actually have much more way to go than just Mixamo, because all the deformation things and all the, that's why we have technical artists in the game industry. So I think our next thing after we conquer the animation job would be the rigging thing. And after that, maybe we can work with the modeling thing. There are a lot of things can be improved by AI. So I think those kind of automations will help. Like, I think this can be like YouTube thing. So back then, only videos were mostly produced by the broadcasting giants, and normal people can make the videos and shows, but now everyone do, right? I think after those kind of after animation, after rigging, after modeling, after all the 3D pipeline productions are automated, I think really everyone would produce like team of 10 make a large scale game and get a like hundreds of millions of revenue. I think that would be possible after all the bothering jobs will be after they are automated.
Do you feel like adoption of AI tools will negatively impact, the workforce? Do you think more people are going to be left out of jobs?
That's a very important question. No, because I think this kind of question was like repeatedly when there's a new technology coming to the industry and everyone worrying about it replacing their jobs. But what I found out is that when there is an AI coming to the industry and replace the most hard or like most repetitive jobs, and people just move to more creative jobs. Our goal is to make every members in the game team to focus on their own creativity. That's what we are aiming for. So like when AI makes the whole draft by AI mocap, then every animators can now work with the sensitive, the artistic, or like the craftsmanship thing to their emotions. And it can make their emotions like more creative, more sensitive, more high quality. I think those will come to the area because, when there's like,
So, final question, how do we start playing around with Plask? Do we just go online, click the link and start working? Do you need to pay? Is there like a trial period? How does it work?
You just can visit plask.ai. After you make an account, you can start with Plask right away. We have a freemium plan, so you can have most of the features with most of the credit. You can use most of the feature without any kind of payment method registration. But actually, we are releasing first paid version this weekend, and it will have some amazing exclusive features. Previously, we only can extract the motion from a video with one person inside, but with the newly coming paid version, you can now finally extract the motion of multiple people in the video, each of the motion.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, those we'll introduce the feature to the paid version, and there will be much more minor features which can make your production much more effective. So but the paid version will have the free trial as well, so you can try it out, and if you love it, you can buy it. But our vision is to our short-term vision is to introduce the AI mocap to the industry. That's the first thing, more than a monetization. So we will focus on more to provide more AI-based mocap without any cost. So maybe don't have to worry too much.
All right. Thank you so much for your interview.
Thanks for enjoying another episode of the 80 Level Roundtable podcast. Check out upcoming episodes on the 80 Level website at 80.lv. Join our career site at 80.lv/RFP. And share our podcast with friends and on your social networks.